Hello and welcome back to the channel. In this video, we're going to be looking at what I consider to be the best method for learning beginner acoustic chords. Now, the traditional way of learning acoustic chords is you start learning your basic shapes like your G, your C, your D, and you start learning the transition between those. Eventually you get to the point where you can start putting some songs together. However, in my opinion, that is kind of a daunting task to start with. And if you're not the person who can easily stick with something, or if you're easily distracted, it can be a little bit tough to keep up on. However, with this method, you'll be able to start playing some of your favorite songs immediately, which will in turn build up your confidence and motivation, and then in turn help you to pursue expanding upon the chords that you've learned. And one of the biggest pitfalls that I see people fall into is when they start to learn bar chords, especially as a beginner. They start out with their C's and their D's and their G's, but as soon as they start getting into bar chords, that's when they really start struggling. Of course, I've been practicing for years. I have really strong hands at this point, but for beginners, it's a real feat to start to get the hang of that. And a lot of people do quit at that point. So this is just a way to hopefully keep people motivated so that they can learn the songs that they want to learn, and then that will help them push through the tough things like the bar chords and things of that nature. To explain my point, I'm going to go to a whiteboard and try to illustrate some of what we're looking at here. So in case you're not familiar, what we have here are the finger numberings for your left hand. So we got index finger 1, middle finger 2, ring finger 3, and the pinky finger 4. For this method, this is what I prefer to call the G style. And basically how this works is you're always going to keep your pinky and your ring finger anchored to the B string and the E string on the 3rd fret. And then what we're going to do is we're going to move around fingers 1 and 2 to different positions in order to accomplish different chord shapes. So really, it's just moving these 2 fingers around and leaving these 2 anchored. So for our G, we've got our middle finger on the 3rd fret, low E string, and our index finger on the 2nd fret, A string. And then these 2 dots here, that indicates that you're going to play those open. For the next shape, we have C, and we got a new symbol here. This is an X. This means that we're just going to either mute or ignore playing that string entirely, so it's not part of the chord. And in this case, we're literally just moving these 2 fingerings down 1 string. So we got middle finger, 3rd fret A string, and index finger on 2nd fret D string, and that's going to be our C chord. And then we got a D right here, and as you can see, the E string is muted out. I purposefully left the A string blank because you can choose to play this or not play this. It sounds pretty good either way. If you want to get strictly technical, you probably only want to play the bottom 4 here. But if you let the A ring out, that's not going to ruin anything typically. And then we got our index finger on the 2nd fret G string. And then we have our A minor chord here, in which case we got the E string X'd out and the A string open. And then we got our index finger on the 2nd fret D string, and we got our middle finger on the 2nd fret G string. And then the last chord we're going to look at is a variation of the E minor chord. So for this one, we're playing every single string, E strings open, G strings open, and then index finger, 2nd fret, A string, and middle finger, 2nd fret, D string. But you can see, the entire idea here is you're always keeping your pinky and your ring finger anchored to the 3rd fret on the E and B strings here. And it's the same for every single chord. So literally we're just moving around fingers 1 and 2, or index and middle. Allow me to demonstrate. Okay, so I'm going to start with playing them in the order in which they are presented on the board. For the G, we got this. For the C, we've got this. For the D, we've got this. For the A minor, we've got this. And for the E minor, we got this. Now I'm going to demonstrate what this sounds like just improvising, switching between these chords using a simple strumming pattern. And I think you'll agree it sounds pretty nice for just improvising and just having a good time playing acoustic chords. So as you can see, just very nice, harmonious sounding. All we're doing is we're leaving our pinky and our ring finger anchored, and we're moving around our index and middle to do the different fingerings. And yeah, it's just a very easy way to start playing some acoustic chords and get something that sounds decent. Might be a good opportunity to work on the right hand to get some rhythms and just practice in such a way that you have to pay less attention to your fretting hand and you can focus on your strumming a bit more. Like that might be another good use case. Otherwise, you could take a song that has like the G, C, D, A minor, E minor chords, and literally you just plug in any of these, and most of the time it's going to work just fine. There of course are exceptions, but for the most part, you're going to be able to get started playing some of your favorite songs, and that's an important thing to help you stay motivated and keep having fun with it. And then as you start getting more comfortable, maybe your hand starts getting a little bit stronger, you can start easing into those more difficult chord shapes like your bar chords, and hopefully feel a little less overwhelmed, like it's this huge plateau that you have to get over, which it is, but it doesn't mean you shouldn't be able to have fun in the meantime. The other thing to keep in mind is if you have a capo, the same system works with wherever you decide to place this capo. So if instead of the key of G, you want to do the key of A, slap that capo on the 2nd fret. And now we're doing all that stuff in the key of A. Thank you for your time. That's all I got for you today. I'm going to do another video where I talk about doing a similar method, but in the key of E. As a short preview, basically what we're doing is we're going to let the bottom 2 strings ring out, and we're basically playing one chord shape, but like more parallel across the neck, if that makes sense. So just like a quick preview of what that's going to sound like. Thank you for joining me. If you have any thoughts or ideas you would like to share, please go ahead and leave them in the comment section. Have a good one.